Welcome back to LWT Wildlife. Take a look at these little guys. Picture a handful of striped piglets slipping in the snow, just playing around like innocent little angels. You'd probably think they're cute and completely harmless, right? You're absolutely right. I used to think the exact same thing. But give it just a few months, and those little angels mutate into a flat-out living nightmare for countless farmers and families all across America. How does something so sweet turn into a disaster of this scale? Stick around, because today we are uncovering the brutal truth. The reality of this invasion is a tough pill to swallow. We are looking at an army of over 6 million wild hogs spreading across the country like wildfire. And the financial drain? It's staggering. Every single year, these invasive pigs siphon roughly $2.5 billion from the US economy. They act like living bulldozers, tearing through everything from commercial peanut fields to private properties. For hardworking Americans, waking up to see their land totally shredded isn't just frustrating, it's a devastating economic gut punch. But this isn't just a rural farming problem anymore. These pigs are aggressively busting right into quiet suburban neighbourhoods. They don't just graze on your grass, they literally root up the dirt looking for grubs, flipping beautiful manicured lawns into what looks like an active war zone. In a single night, a small sounder can cause anywhere from $500 to $1,500 in damage to a family's backyard, ripping up expensive sod and snapping underground sprinkler lines like twigs. It's a certified mess. So you might be asking, why not just take them out when they show up? Well, out in the suburbs, using traditional hunting methods simply isn't an option. City limits have strict safety regulations for obvious reasons. Plus, picking off one or two pigs doesn't solve the core issue. The rest of the herd will just run off and breed. To actually protect these neighbourhoods, relying on high-tech smart traps isn't just a luxury anymore. It is the ultimate frontline defence. Now you might wonder why homeowners don't just buy their own smart traps. It comes down to cold, hard cash. Setting up a professional trapping operation requires a heavy-duty 4x4 truck, a massive flatbed trailer, and the electronic drop traps themselves. You're easily looking at a $30,000 to $40,000 initial investment, plus thousands more every year for cellular data plans and bait. For a regular guy dealing with a pig problem once a year, dropping that kind of money is completely out of the question. That's exactly why folks call in the big guns. Take David, a seasoned trapping expert out in Mississippi. He uses massive suspended drop traps. These round steel cages hang high off the ground with no walls to spook the pigs. The hogs walk right in from all sides, totally relaxed. David sits miles away, watching a live cellular camera. Once the entire sounder is eating the corn, he hits a button, and the trap drops from the sky in a split second. It's a flawless whole sounder catch. Out in the wild, the pigs do face a few natural enemies. Coyotes, for example, have figured out that feral piglets make a pretty easy meal. You'll often see these predators trailing a sounder, waiting to snatch up the young ones or scavenging on what's left behind in the woods. At first glance, having coyotes act as a natural cleanup crew seems like a big win for the ecosystem. But nature has a dark twist, and this predator-prey relationship holds a hidden danger. When those coyotes feed on infected feral hogs, they are walking straight into a biological time bomb. Wild pigs carry nasty diseases like pseudorabies, which causes a severe mad itch in canines, and swine brucellosis. When a coyote eats that infected meat, it doesn't just fall to it right away. It becomes a mobile disease vector. They carry these heavy bacteria across property lines, shedding it through their waste right onto pastures where domestic cattle graze. It's an invisible, highly dangerous chain reaction that threatens the entire agricultural industry. But every now and then, a local farmer digs his boots in and scores a massive victory. Down in Texas, the epicenter of the wild hog invasion, we found one guy who completely turned the tables on these invaders. Instead of backing down when his fields got shredded, he built an entire network of heavy-duty, homemade box traps all across his land. By strategically placing these setups and timing his corn bait perfectly, he didn't just catch a few strays, he captured dozens of destructive pigs in one fell swoop. That right there is proof that good old Texas grit still pays off. Backed into a corner, many tough farmers have taken matters into their own hands. They weld together large, heavy-duty mechanical box traps right in their own barns. These are straightforward, old-school steel cages fitted with a one-way saloon door or a carefully set tripwire. A farmer will simply bait it with corn, hoping to lure the herd inside overnight. It's a gritty, DIY approach to a massive problem. They are definitely catching pigs, but as they quickly find out, outsmarting a wild hog takes a lot more than just building a metal box.
Look at this guy. Hey, what you doing, old man? Ooh, he not happy. Okay.
But don't count out those homemade traps just yet. To actually make a DIY setup work, you can't just weld some steel together and hope for the best. It requires a seriously dialed-in design and a trapper who deeply reads wild hog behaviour. If the trigger is poorly placed, the door slams shut on the first few pigs and the rest of the sounder scatters. You end up educating the survivors, making them incredibly trap-shy. Success out here means mastering their habits and fine-tuning that homemade trap until it's flawless. That's exactly why the DIY approach shines brightest when paired with professional trapping services. It's a team effort. The farmers hold the line with their fine-tuned traps and sturdy fencing, while crews like David's come in with the high-tech drop traps to handle the larger, smarter herds. You have to capture 100% of the sounder all at once. Otherwise, you're just wasting time. By bringing in the pros, they completely disrupt the breeding cycle and actually give the farmers their land back. Beyond the dollar signs, we are witnessing a complete ecological hijacking. These wild hogs are eating machines, stripping the forest floor bare. They aggressively push out native wildlife, like whitetail deer and wild turkeys, completely starving them out of their natural habitats. When a massive sounder rolls into a feeding area, the deer have no choice but to back off. The pigs destroy the natural balance, turning thriving American ecosystems into muddy, barren wastelands where nothing else can survive. To actually stop this, it requires ruthless, calculated math. Wildlife biologists state that we have to safely remove a staggering 70 to 75% of the hog population every single year just to keep their numbers flat. This isn't a battle one guy can win alone. It takes an active alliance. Farmers aggressively reporting damage, state programs providing funding, and seasoned trapping crews working through the night. Only by working together can we stop this wild hog army from taking over the countryside.
Breathe, bro. Breathe, bro.
Managing the feral hog crisis is a gritty, exhausting job that requires serious strategy, not just brute force. It's a stark reminder of what happens when an invasive species is left unchecked. Hats off to the farmers and the dedicated trapping crews out there in the mud, holding the line for our native wildlife. But what about you? If you're fascinated by heavy machinery, smart trapping tech, and the relentless fight to protect American agriculture, you belong here. Click on the video on your screen right now to join LWT Wildlife on another deep dive.